Good morning. Nice to see the hall nice and full right at the first session for Prashant. So Prem has given me a very difficult topic. Made me go back to my MBA days and I think there was an entire semester where we spoke on this. So to compress that in 12 to 15 minutes is going to be a challenge. I'll do my best. So basically what I've been asked to speak about is the concept of niche marketing versus mass marketing, right? To narrow your focus to grow your business. So let's look at where do I point this? Yeah. Right, so what's mass marketing? Mass marketing is all about dealing with the largest possible base, right? Whereas niche marketing is about focusing on a small group which is aligned in terms of its interests and trends. So if you look at it, what in mass marketing is needed is a generic product catering to the largest common denominator. Whereas if you take niche marketing, you got to have a unique product which meets the specific needs of the target audience. So in niche marketing, you need to have a uniqueness in the product itself and something which is unique about the target segment. Given that, right, the world around us is moving from an era of mass marketing to one of niche marketing. All of us are aware of it. And why is this happening? This is because customers have become choosier about what they use or buy, and they are willing to pay a premium for a product customized to their needs, right? You have examples plethora, I'll just take one, right? The broadcasting television viewership, right? Remember the early days when Doordarshan was the only channel? Whatever they churned out, Ramayana, Chitrahar, we had to watch it, right? So from a broadcasting, today we have moved to what we can call it as narrowcasting, right? What's happening? That you have a plethora of channels. You have Star Sports, Tamil, Star Sports, Cricket. The kind of slicing and dicing that's happening, right, is a huge customization that's happening, and naturally they charge for these channels separately, right? We can talk about countless other examples, but I think the point is very well made. I'll stop with this and move on to our industry, where the mutual fund industry, if you take the manufacturers, the asset managers, right? They have tried some kind of a niching, like some product AMCs specialize in mid and small caps, Sundaram being one of them. We've had some focus on retail fixed income, some focus on institutional customers, but the bulk of the industry has been adopting a mass marketing approach. What is the fundamental reason for this from a manufacturer's perspective? The reason for this is that our penetration is abysmally low compared to the rest of the world on mutual fund products. Given the lack of awareness and the low penetration, the industry felt the need to get on board every possible customer. And hence we try to create products for every Tom, Dick and Harry out there. Right? There was no choice in the matter. Right? We all needed the business to grow. But what's happening on the distribution business? Right? In the distribution business, what's the key is that in addition to the low penetration issue, which they also, all of you suffer from, the fact remains that you have very little control over the product. As I mentioned, right? When you have to have control over a product, why? Because unless you differentiate it, how can you create a niche? Hence, the distribution also has had to adopt all these years a mass approach to sustain its viability. But times they are changing. The dynamics are changing. What's happening? The regulatory changes, removal of upfronts, promotion of direct NAVs, reduction in commissions, disclosure of commissions, push towards advisory has made the mass business less viable. As one hand, cost of acquiring customers goes up, and second hand, the cost of servicing customers has gone up. Second, the volatility of the market and fund performance has made it difficult for you to control customer satisfaction to a mass of customers you have chosen. So a shift to niche is inevitable, and this shift, right, is critical. Why? Because it can help you ensure customer satisfaction, grow your business income, and render your business more viable. That's the beauty of niche marketing. And second, you all know, your customer is also evolving with the times. He's no longer the old one. The broadcasting, netcasting example serves for our customer also. So some but radical changes will be needed from you all. What is that? Right? As I said, we need to have for niche marketing a target niche segment of customers and a product which can deliver to that customer's needs. Given that perspective, right, customer segments can be sliced and diced in hundreds of ways, right? You can say doctors, you can say lawyers, you can say aged people, you can say youth, you can say IT engineers. There are millions of ways of dicing, right? And that choice is up to you. But the bottom line is that whichever segmentation you put on the customer, ultimately customer needs and behavior across these segments are very, very similar, right? From that perspective, right, what you need for your customers' thought process. All customers, whichever segment, have current income, they need to convert it into future wealth. Second, right, they all have aspirations, right, of family needs, of retirement. Everybody has that, and so you need to build wealth for that. And the third thing is, all of them have an emotional aspect to investing, which you need to take care of as for your customer. There's a fear which drives them towards safety products, and there's a greed which drives them towards high return products. From that perspective, you also have to deal with the shenanigans of the customer, right? His approach for short-termism, tendency to panic when market corrects, and willingness to pay in the context of the RIA model. So from that perspective, right, customer segmentation may not be the key differentiator in niche marketing. Because you can choose any niche, whether it's geography, network, from your background, whatever. But creating a product differentiation niche by redefining the product in the eyes of the customer is where your USP can lie. From that perspective, right, I'd like to bring a very different perspective to this thought of product. So the first thing is, can you redefine that product not as that scheme of that AMC, not as that brand of that AMC, but can we redefine the product as you? Right? My thought process here is that you, by creating a brand also of yourself, can become that product to the customer. And then you have the product within your control. So my thought process is niche marketing can be a brilliant idea, provided you convert yourself as a product to your customer. Right? So what is a brand? Let me just quickly take a small diversion to the brand. A brand is nothing but the perception, experience, and beliefs associated with the product, service, or an entity that make it distinct. So what is the value of a brand? Brands are as opposed to products, right? Products are sold, commodities can be copied, can be quickly outdated, but brands are bought by the customers, they're very unique, and they are timeless. So from that perspective, take Apple versus HTC. HTC had an earlier movie advantage and a comparable product range of smartphone lost out big time, whether it's in sales differentiation or in net profit. So as you can see, branding has a huge positive effect. And the great brand, what they do, they span borders. I'll come to the relevance to our business, right? Span categories. They can sustain pricing power across cycles. They can build a competitive moat, and they can generate durable cash flows and high return on capital from a company perspective, right? So if you look at it, a strong brand gives a competitive advantage and improved earnings. And that's where it's very relevant to all of y'all. Why? Because brands are made and not born. Nobody is born with the brand hat on his head, right? And on second point, right, you tend to associate brands with advertising. No, iconic brands are not just about advertising. What is it? You got to have an obsession with the design of your product, your quality of your product, the service, your employees, motivation levels, and ultimately the customer is the center of your brand promise. So from that perspective, right, let's move to branding in your business and as an IFA and MFD. So just one thought on this IFA business. Prem said not to use this word. He didn't tell me before, so I had to put it. But can I say something here, right? And it's going to be slightly controversial, but I'm saying regardless of what you call yourself, MFD, RIA, IFA, whatever you do, in the perception of your customer, you are an advisor. Bottom line, there's no choice in the matter, right? You can follow the regulation, don't call yourself. But when you go to a customer, he expects you to talk to him about his life, about wealth creation, and talk to him. So bottom line is that we got to make sure that we are regulatory compliant, but the business of getting business from a customer is all centered around one thing, that is about giving him good quality products to satisfy his needs, right? You can use the word advice for it or not use for it, that's okay, right? So from that perspective, right, most of us are individuals here, right, MFDs. So can you become a brand? Absolutely, right? Probably the biggest brand in recent times, right? And if you look at it, the three questions you have to ask yourself before you become a brand is, what makes me great, what makes me unique, and what makes me compelling, right? In that process, if you look at it, right, in greatness it is, what do I do better than anyone else? What am I naturally good at? What do people ask me to help them with? Next, in terms of the uniqueness, right? What about my personality or work ethic is unique? Why would someone else choose me over others who share your capabilities? And what capability do I share with my peers? And how am I different from my peers? The third aspect of the question that you need to ask yourself is, what makes me compelling? What do I mean by that? Who the decisions about you, who can benefit from your service, and you can choose to be selectively famous, right? And then they should become a brand ambassador for your brand and do this. So when you ask these questions, right, you come to a set of points where what are the steps to building a brand, right? You can first start thinking of the brand, audit your online presence, what you currently are, Google yourself, secure a personal website, absolutely critical. Find ways to produce value in your communication and what you share. There's information overload. Be purposeful in what you share and also associate with other strong. So if you're a doctor as a target segment, become a part of the medical association fraternity, right? If you're a lawyer, get a part of that. And then ultimately you have to reinvent yourself. I've got detailed slides in terms of each one of these, so I'll just quickly go through them, right? In terms of each of these steps, right? So I'll leave it there for just for you to see. I don't want to spend too much time talking. These are just expansion of 7 key steps, right? So just giving yourself a minute to look at it, right? And finally, to the reinvent yourself, right? So a strong personal brand is dependent on a strong narrative. So your passions, your areas of interest, that narrative, because customers like that personal connect from you, right? So to that extent, then there are 3 critical steps which are very, very key from an industry perspective, right? Competency, communication, collaboration. What do I mean by these 3? In competency on what, right? It's obviously on, getting a CFP, stock markets, GDP, economy, regulation, right? So ultimately, these are the areas where there is absolutely no choice. Whatever segment niche you choose, you have to get expertise to yourself on these key areas. Once having done that, then you get to communicate. What and to whom? Well, obviously, you have to balance quantity and quality. This is the biggest challenge all of us face. We think that sending out Twitters and WhatsApps and everything is the most easy and best. No, there's information overload. So be very choosy and careful about the quality and quantity of your communication. And ultimately, from your dealings with your customers, probably the most important slide here is the fact that you have to move from just selling products to the experience, the relationship aspect of your customer interaction. From an honesty, just being there to building trust. You all say, oh, I was very honest. No. Have you been honest enough to build the trust in your customer? The third, quality is a given, right? You are supposed to deliver returns to the customer, but that preference to create in you is the key for you to focus. And just from being an identity to a personality, from recognition to remembering you, and from communication to dialogue. So there's a 2-way process. And then from just providing service is to look at the whole thing as engagement, right? In that perspective, obviously technology leverage is critical, but ultimately what this means is whatever target segment you choose, you have to position yourself as a multiple solution provider, right? In that, the understanding with the customer, the collaboration with the customer to understand their needs and emotions is absolutely critical, right? So co-create your solution with him. Don't come out and say this is a solution. Sit with him to discuss after you do a financial plan. And you have the investment pyramid, selling products or marketing or consultative selling with what his needs are. And category-wise, right? You got to look at those categories where you don't make money because you have to be a solution provider to the customer. So bank deposits, PPFs, those things also should form a part of your bouquet. In summary, what I'm saying is that as a brand, what is a brand company's strength can be a brand individual strength, right? So in spanning categories, you must offer solutions to cater to all your clients' investment needs. You must build a competitive mode, which means you're a one-stop shop. Tie up with those people for wills, for planning. Sustain cash flows. See, dividends, I know the new law, it's a dividend is a hated, it's not a right word, but SWPs are a key, right? And then borders. You got to look at global asset classes for your customer to benefit. And then you got to arrange your products so that depending on where the economic cycle is, your products are catering to the customer's specific need. From that perspective, what I'm saying is that to your segment of niche, you have to transform yourself into a financial supermarket, right? And that being done, right, what happens is choose your niche customer segment, but narrow your focus towards building your brand image in that segment and your business will grow many, many fold, right? To end with it, I wanted to say that a brand is that focus, the magnifying glass, but ultimately, once you build that brand, it's a magnet where customers will be automatically attracted to you. Thank you very, very much for your patience.